discussed at length on this program how people have been losing confidence in the media and the government. Well, many have also lost confidence in our medical institutions, especially after we saw doctors blindly pushing for the COVID jab on everyone during the pandemic, even supporting mandates on Americans regardless of whether or not they were in vulnerable categories. And with so many kowtowing to transgenderism, many Americans are rightfully asking, what's a doctor? I mean, they're just like a politician in a white coat? Well, What is a Doctor is the title of a new documentary that tackles this very question. And here now to discuss it, Dr. Simone Gold, who assembled some leading voices in medicine for this documentary. Dr. Gold is an experienced emergency physician and attorney, and she is also the founder and board chairman of America's Frontline Doctors. Dr. Gold, welcome to Washington Watch. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Delightful to be here.
So let me ask you this. What inspired you to put together this documentary?
We physicians were very upset during COVID to watch really the healthcare institutions and infrastructure just kind of collapse and not put patients first. It was shocking, astonishing, disheartening. And the good news about it is many independent-minded physicians did find each other. And we have built a strong coalition, a strong support group for each other to help patients. So we got to thinking, really, what is a doctor? Is a doctor a pill pusher? Is a doctor just a government employee? There is a mouthpiece for the government. What is a doctor? We independent physicians know that a doctor has a higher calling, a special relationship to another human being sitting in front of them, and we put the doctor-patient relationship first, and we are standing for our patients who need us. That's what a doctor is.
I want to get to the heart of the subject matter in this documentary on the transgender craze that the medical community has been pushed into. But before I do, I want to ask you, what about these medical associations that, you got these these letters behind your name as you're a part of this, this nice association, but they've been so politicized?
Yes, it's horrific. So the good news is they are much less powerful than they used to be. In my father's day, the American Medical Association represented about 2/3 of physicians. Now I think the number is about 15%. People don't know that, they don't advertise it, but that's the truth. Many of us are choosing to leave these associations behind in the dust. They're terrible. An example of terrible is American Medical Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics. I would not go to a doctor that has those initials after their name. They've been corrupted. The evidence is overwhelming that they're not putting patients' best interest first. It's really a shame, but we have an opportunity to build back something better.
And that's what you've been doing in terms of gathering these independent doctors who are willing to speak out. And of course, I often say in this program, courage breeds courage. So when someone steps forward, it's not long before others will step forward. This documentary takes on something that the American people, I think, are onto now. And that is this so-called gender-affirming care, which is nothing more than experimental drugs and surgical interventions in young people. Most of them who couldn't even legally get a tattoo on their own are sometimes undergoing the blade, have healthy body parts cut off. Talk about the documentary.
Yes. So, there's a lot you could say about the gender dysphoria movement and the transgender activists who I call transgender groomers, quite frankly. But with this movie, we're sticking to the medical lane. What exactly is happening to these children? What are they being put through? What are their bodies being put through? We are doctors. We are not here to be butchers. We're not sorcerers. But many of my peers are acting this way. They're cutting off healthy body parts. This is not the doctor's role. The doctor's role is to help take someone's body as healthy as it can be, not to make it destructive. And the words that are being used are very misleading. This is not affirming, and it is not care. It is medical mutilation. You may remember 30 years ago, 20 years ago, it was all the rage that Americans were very concerned about female genital mutilation happening in African nations.
Right.
We spoke out against it. This is that. This is that here in America, except it's to both sexes. But we are mutilating healthy young bodies, causing people to have lifelong infertility, and not the kind that you can fix with IVF, the kind where you produce no sperm or no egg forever, the kind where if you have a mastectomy at age 15, you will never be able to breastfeed, the kind of, it's horrific. So what we doctors did, we got together and we are pulling aside the curtain so the average American can see what's at stake. It's not nice words. It's chronic wounds. It's chronic infections. It's lifelong pills, lifelong medical care. We're exposing this mutilation industry for what it is.
What is behind it? I mean, obviously, it's not the interest of these children in terms of, I mean, as you just described, this is mutilating them, and they're bound to take these medicines and prescriptions for the rest of life. So, what is behind it? What's driving this?
I think there's two things. I think there's a social cultural movement, and this is including, towards the left, and is causing people of conscience really not to say anything for not fear of hurting people's feelings. And that's the social movement and the gender ideologues who have infiltrated the schools, who've infiltrated, art clubs and where children associate, and the medical organizations such as the Academy of Pediatrics. It's terrible. And the other part of it is each one of these children represents at least $1 million to the medical industrial complex over their lifetime. They have repeated surgeries, they have repeated medications for the rest of their lives. There's all kinds of surgeries and costs associated with this. So every case is lucrative. So it's both.
Wow.
There's gender ideologues and there's money.
Wow.
And we expose it. We expose the institutions that are profiting in the film.
So, okay. All right. How can folks watch this documentary?
Please go to whatisadoctor.org. Whatisadoctor.org. We are streaming this for free. We do ask if you can make a donation afterwards, the same price you might do for a movie, but it's for free. It's critical, important. Whatisadoctor.org if you want to know more about this subject.
Dr. Gold, what do you hope folks will take away from this documentary?
Actually, you are empowered. The more you learn about this, the much more manageable it becomes. Some motivation for this is that families are being, this issue is being dropped into families' laps all of a sudden. A 15-year-old girl comes home from school and all of a sudden announces to her parents that she's a boy. What does the family do? We have the answers for you what to do. Don't be bamboozled. Your common sense will get you through. You need a little bit of resources. That's what we're doing. We're doing it for the parents. We're doing it for people of faith and of conscience. And we're doing it also to wake up doctors so doctors start acting responsibly and ethically.
And this empowers people to do just that. Dr. Gold, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us, and I appreciate the great work you're doing.
Thank you so much.